So this is a fantastic day, a fantastic weekend for those of you who have been screaming from the rooftops for years and years and years that IndyCar needs more promotion. Because you're not really going to get more promotion than Fox is about to throw at IndyCar over the next 24 hours. Not only did this ad drop featuring Pato O'Ward, which really, let's be honest, is one of the more important drivers to get out in front of the general population. But the fact that this ad drops the day before the Super Bowl, and the fact that Fox is not only going to air this ad during the Super Bowl, they're going to air their other two IndyCar ads during the Super Bowl. 5 years ago, this is something I would have done a backflip for. I mean, this is extremely high levels of promotion from the TV partner of IndyCar. It's something that, nothing necessarily against NBC. There were a lot of people there who worked very hard. There were a lot of people there who really did care about IndyCar. But this is not promotion we could have ever expected out of NBC, to just be quite honest and bold and blunt about it. And a big part of that, I think, has to be said. Roger Penske said it to me in my interview with him last month, is the fact that Eric Shanks, the guy who runs Fox Sports, is a Hoosier, someone who understands and gets the Indianapolis 500, gets IndyCar. So, and wants to promote it. And that's such a huge step for IndyCar, because they really haven't had anybody for a very long time in that high of a corporate position back them quite in this way. Let's take a look before we look at Pato's ad, which is an awesome ad, just to kind of look at the schedule that we're expecting for the IndyCar ads tomorrow. This comes from Tyler Wong on Twitter. Thanks, Tyler, not only for putting this information out there, but also following me. So I appreciate that. IndyCar commercial spots for the Super Bowl. Alex Palou's ad will be on the pre-game show from 6 p.m., somewhere in the 6 p.m. to 6:30 block. Pato O'Ward in the first quarter. Like, that's awesome. Like, you want to talk about the point of the Super Bowl where all of the sports fans are watching, you put Pato. And I think probably the most important ad is the right ad for the Super Bowl halftime show, which is Joseph Newgarden at halftime when all the normies will be watching the Super Bowl. I can't complain about that whatsoever. And not only that, as Tyler points out, Fox will have Joseph and Alex on the pregame show at 1 p.m. Although that's that's not exactly prime time for the Super Bowl viewing parties. That's for sure. Like 7 hours before kickoff. No. But that's cool, though. I mean, again, looking at and here's another thing that I think I pointed out in the last video, but the bar was set extremely low the last couple of TV providers IndyCar had. You look at the ESPN era of the ABC contract. Now, we have to remember that there was actually a change. A lot of the ABC sports stuff that was good was before Disney bought it. And once Disney bought ABC and moved everything to ESPN, and then ESPN kind of took over production of ABC Sports, things got a lot worse. And they set a very, very low bar for IndyCar coverage. It's something that NBC leaped well over. But they leaped really high at the beginning and fell on their face towards the end. I think it's important to note some of that stuff. And I think NBC made some huge mistakes along the way. I think one of the biggest mistakes that they made in terms of something that was harmful for IndyCar, and I'm very confident saying this now, is and I know people love their streaming services. For some reason, they love paying for more things. They all hate cable, but they pay for 15 streaming services. I'll never understand that. I must just be from the pirate era of the internet, because I just don't understand that. But here's the thing. I think that IndyCar had a great short-term gain from signing with NBC. The production quality went up significantly. The interest level from the broadcaster went up significantly. But when IndyCar got mired on NBC Gold and later Peacock, I think that killed a lot of the forward momentum IndyCar had, especially when at the same time that IndyCar went fully paywall, the Drive to Survive era of Formula One began here in the United States. So IndyCar became much harder to consume. F1 became much easier to consume. And that was a gigantic error at the end of the day. The good news, I guess, about Fox is that a lot of their stuff is going to be available on television. Now, is television better than streaming? No. But if it was going to be on some obscure app like Peacock, and I'm sorry, just because you watch The Office on Peacock does not make it not an obscure app. It's pretty obscure. Still, it's not Netflix, right? It's not Amazon Prime. The fact that at least it'll be on TV and it'll be easier for people to find easily the Fox IndyCar broadcasts, I think is an improvement. We'll see what happens as time goes on, of course. But I like what Fox is doing right now. I think it's they're making a lot of the right calls, which makes me confident in what they're doing. Now, let's watch this Pato O'Ward ad, and then we'll talk about a few of the other elements to this and maybe some cautionary tales about Fox, I guess we'll say, because I think there's a lot of positivity right now, and there should be. But there are some things that, I didn't point out as hard as I should have, like the NBC Sports Gold stuff back in the NBC days. I'm not going to make that mistake again. We're going to talk about a few of these more uncomfortable things, but let's feel good, because this Pato O'Ward ad makes me feel really good.
This is Pato O'Ward. His last name's Irish, but his first words were... Pato's the fastest 25-year-old on four wheels. He's can't miss TV for everyone but his own mother, and he's tasted every kind of victory except for the lactose variety. Pato looks like a one-man boy band. He charms like a British spy. He smells like burnt rubber. And he doesn't have fans. He's got groupies. So take a look at the next face of IndyCar, because whether you love him or love him, he's about to turn this whole sport upside down. This is Pato O'Ward. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
It's hard for me to just say, wow, what a great ad, what a great ad, what a great ad, but what a great ad, right? It tells you everything you need to know about Pato. Yeah, it embellishes the truth a little bit. Everybody's kind of been pointing that out about the last two ads, and this one does it too. But who cares? You know what I mean? Like the best Super Bowl ads that we remember from our childhood, like the Budweiser Clydesdales were like speaking English, right? Well, horses don't do that. Pato O'Ward doesn't leapfrog over cars, but we don't need to. It doesn't need to be totally like. It doesn't need to be totally realistic. Again, the whole idea of these ads, and I guess we'll talk about whether or not it will land. But the whole point of these ads isn't necessarily to get IndyCar fans excited, although that's a great kind of bonus, but it's to get casual folks or casual sports fans or sports fans that are outside of the auto racing realm to become interested in this. So let's talk a little bit about this ad. It's not too much to it.
His last name's Irish,
I do,
but his first
there's a little bit of thirst trapping there going on for sure. That's what you got to do. I mean, the ladies do love Pato. This is hilarious. I think this is the second or third like baby thing. I think every ad has had some sort of like either conception joke or baby joke. Interesting. Pato driving. The fastest 25-year-old. Yeah, this isn't actually on the IndyCar on Fox YouTube channel. I don't know if you know that, but he didn't actually leapfrog a Toyota Solara. Is that what that is? Interesting. But that is cool. I mean, it does. This has the it almost feels like the beginning of like a superhero movie, like when the superhero has his power, discovers his powers, and starts doing amazing things. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And again, you're kind of, is that a Dallas Cowboys shirt? Teasing Arlington, I guess. But yeah, that's cool, man. And then you've got the crash
for everyone but his own mother.
And Pato's poor mom. Is this his whole family? No, this isn't. I don't even know if that's his mom. I don't think that's his
mother.
But it's is that Pato's mom? I don't know. Then we get to see all his wins, which again, this is great. I love it when you point out the things that the drivers have done and like put it on a pedestal. Yeah, it's important that Pato has all these IndyCar wins.
Every kind of victory.
100%. And then you point out, of course, that he hasn't won the Indianapolis 500. You set up that storyline that he's finished second in the 500 twice now. And of course, last year's was so dramatic with Joseph. I mean, that right there, fantastic. Fantastic. And we're talking about real too. That's real.
Pato looks
Thirst trapping
like
a little
a
bit
one-man.
more. There he is in. I almost said that was Mad Magazine, but I think that's Rolling Stone, and which is funny because Rolling Stone is owned by Roger Penske's son.
boy band. He charms
And then we've got. I don't know why there was a knife
like
in
a
the
British
wall,
spy.
but he's using it to spread butter on a date here. Again, we're thirst trapping with Pato.
He
It's all
smells like
good.
burnt rubber.
Great reference here to football in the Super Bowl without beating your head over the being it over your head. It's all
And
good.
he doesn't have fans.
Again, thirst trapping, and here, this is. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be a little bit petty here. I would just like to point out that all of this footage
Got groupies.
took place in Mexico, and it took place in Mexico on a Formula One weekend. Okay, anyway.
So take a
Pato who?
look at the next face of IndyCar. Because whether you love him or love him, he's about to turn this whole sport upside down. This is Pato O'Ward.
Yeah.
Well,
It's great. It's a great ad. It's a great ad. And people are taking notice of this, even if they say they're not. Because here's our buddy Adam Stern saying, NASCAR is not concerned with the level of promotion Fox Sports has given IndyCar this offseason, pointing out that IndyCar is new to Fox while NASCAR has been with the network since 2001. But here's the one thing I would say about the NASCAR IndyCar like comparison on Fox. I didn't see a single, and maybe you did. I didn't. I didn't see a single ad for the Clash. I've seen a lot of Daytona 500 ads. Not a single ad for the Clash. Now, they still got 3 million people to watch, so I guess they didn't need advertising, and maybe that's NASCAR's point. But this is something that I'm beginning to think a little bit. And I've had this nagging thought for a couple of days, especially as kind of we led up to this Pato ad. And I can't get it out of my head. And I'm going to try to jinx this because I don't want this to happen, but I'm worried it will. And so I will jinx it by saying a whole lot of other things that I don't want to happen. During the Super Bowl, there will be no offensive holding calls or holding calls in general against the Kansas City Chiefs, a game which they will win against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then after the game, Travis Kelce will get down on one knee and propose to Taylor Swift as the confetti rains down around them. Okay, now that we've jinxed all this other stuff I don't want to happen, here's my thought about the Fox promotion and what I'm a little bit worried about. What happens? Because we have had, again, the level of promotion, and you see it in the IndyCar fan base. Everybody is over the moon with this. This is what everybody has wanted for so long. I'm a little bit worried that the IndyCar fans are excited, but I think the gigantic unknown is this ad campaign going to appeal to the broader audience? And I suppose we're going to find that out tomorrow. And we're especially going to find it out on March 2nd in St. Pete. Because the thing that is beginning to concern me just a little bit is what if the St. Pete rating isn't significantly better than it was last year? What if it's worse? I'm not saying that's a realistic possibility, and God, I hope it's not. And I think with the way Fox, I believe after the St. Pete broadcast, they're leading into NASCAR. And the last time that happened, at least that I can remember with IndyCar, was Mid-Ohio leading into the Chicago NASCAR race, which led to one of the highest IndyCar ratings of last year on NBC. But if for some bizarre reason the rating isn't as high as it should be, I'm a little bit worried the wrong message is going to be taken here. That because Fox did this huge marketing push, and in particular pushed Pato Who right before the Super Bowl, that somehow there'll be some sort of blame assigned or just like, well, we should never do that again because it didn't work. I hope that's not the case. But that's something that I'm slightly worried might happen. I'm just going to throw that concern out there again. Travis Kelce's going to propose to Taylor Swift after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in a rout. I get it, right? Little bit of doomer, but something that I wanted to say because I don't think during the last TV contract I stated my concerns strongly enough. I didn't say strongly enough when NBC Gold was announced. This is a terrible thing for IndyCar. The practice sessions should still be on YouTube. I'm going to say it now because I'm not afraid anymore. I'm going to say this because it worries me just a little bit. And if it doesn't come true, great. I didn't want it to come true in the first place. But when I have that little bit of fear in the back of my head and I can't get it out of the back of my head, sometimes I feel like I need to use the platform to say it. So I've said it. It's off my chest. The good news is, getting back to positivity, we have 3 Super Bowl commercials for IndyCar tomorrow on Fox. That's freaking nuts. That's something we could have never imagined just a couple of years ago. And yet, tomorrow, the dream becomes reality. Let's see if it appeals to the mainstream sports fan, or maybe a Taylor Swift fan. Actually, you know what? Pato might appeal to Taylor Swift fans. I don't know. We're about to find out. We'll see you in the next video.